Hey everybody, this is Amy,
And this is Micole.
and we're here on 9 to 5 Nightmares. And this week we're going to be talking about things from entertainment to grocery stores to mental health care workers. So it's going to be an exciting time for misconduct in the news this week. We're covering all of the gamut of different industries. But before we get into some of the details, I thought it was super interesting that at the Oscars, they actually did a skit on the
Oh,
misconduct,
yes.
and like my jaw dropped when oh, why am I forgetting his name?
Conan.
Conan O'Brien started talking about, he did like this little skit where it's like the agent for what is her, why, like having like a Friday morning like brain fog. Yeah, we're recording on a Friday.
Pre-coffee.
Yeah, yeah, I haven't had coffee yet today. Joe hasn't brought it to me yet, my cup of Joe. Um, what was the actress's name?
Carla Sofia Gascon.
Yes. And then the name
Yeah.
of the movie is Amelia Perez. That's the thing
Yes.
that drives me nuts all the time. It's like I want to say Amelia Perez is the actress, right? So they were made, it was like a spoof, like it was the agent calling somebody else. It's like, get those text messages, get those like Twitter messages and get them off of there. So it was hysterical. And when they did the thing, they actually, I think they may have done a side by side with her and him, where they at least went to her for reaction. You can check it out. We posted
Oh,
it
yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
the Fama LinkedIn. So, but anyway, like it was interesting to see that they actually poked fun of it and highlighted it during the Oscars show. And
Yeah.
if you don't know what we're talking about, we talked about this last week about how she had made a bunch of racist tweets years ago, and they came up during the promotion of the movie for all of the Oscar awards that it was nominated for. And it was really interesting too. Even though she had, like, I think it was the lead in the movie, when they showed all the promos for the movie during the Oscars, they only showed the promos that included the woman who was up for Best Supporting Actress in it. So I thought that was
And
interesting.
she won. The Best Supporting Actress won, and Carla did not win.
Right.
Because I believe she was also nominated. And after her, you know, bad tweet situation, she did not win. So,
Yeah, it was interesting nonetheless. So anyway, well, why don't we jump from that into other entertainment news with, all things P. Diddy.
oof,
So he's in jail right now.
he is in jail.
Many people know that, but it's really interesting that the co-founder and former president of Bad Boy Entertainment. So for those that don't know, that was Diddy. It might even still be in existence. It was his company that all of the things that he did came from that. And in this new lawsuit, the president is accusing him of like decades long sexual abuse and coercion. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah. And this is like a new lawsuit to add on top of all of the other lawsuits. What's interesting is that it is his co-founder and former president of his entertainment company, and it was just adding on top of all of the horrific and violent actions that took place and who may be still taking place. We don't even know at this company. And what I thought was so interesting was, well, one, even at that level, like he was like supposed to be peers, like even on that level, Diddy was calling him into rooms to watch him do sexual acts, or even like we talk in the state of misconduct at work research about the power dynamics contributing to um, misconduct in media entertainment. And it seems like based on the allegations, Diddy was using acts of like sexual violence and coercion to maintain that balance of power, even among somebody that should have been his peers. So he recalls in the article recalls a time when Combs' security detail surrounded the co-founder, and he grabbed his butt or something like that. Like they like touching and like used physical intimidation and security teams to like facilitate. And then just like really weird, like inappropriate, violent stuff. And what's even worse is this isn't a separate lawsuit, but he also was like bringing in the co-founder was bringing in Diddy's mom and saying that she was part of taking him down, and that at one point him and his mom tried to take uh ownership, his 25% ownership in Bad Boy Entertainment back, and Diddy actually went into his office with a baseball bat to threaten him to give up his stake in the company, and that his mom was a part of it.
So to give up the president's stake in the company and the president's mom was a part of it?
No, no, no. Diddy's mom was a part of it. And she was like, Diddy and his mom were like in this together to get the 25% stake back from the co founder.
Yeah, that's
And so
sick.
now she's being implicated too.
Wow. Wow. You know, this whole entire lawsuit has been so big and broad. Um, and just all of the things that are coming out of it are just, I'm really like deranged, to be quite frank, like really deranged.
100%. Oh, yeah.
Just like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
That
Um,
was what came to my mind too.
yeah,
It's at that level.
it completely is. And I have such a hard time um reading about it or consuming any of it. It's almost like just um getting like the details of it
Yeah.
is harmful, right? And I think it's
Yeah.
okay to say that. It's not that like I'm not interested in what's going on, right? And I'm not interested in the problems that were there, but I don't need to expose myself to all of the details and the
Yeah.
salaciousness in all of this because, first of all, it's not something that should be sensationalized because so many people were harmed in it, like really, really
100%.
harmed.
100%.
Um, I think that this whole situation is going to be very interesting. And, you were talking about our misconduct report that we put out all the time. One of the industries that consistently has a very high rates of misconduct is the entertainment industry. And when we
Yeah.
screen people, it's pretty much 1 out of 4 people that we screen in the entertainment industry have some kind of misconduct that comes up. And so it really is an industry with a lot of problems, and I think a lack of leadership to solve those problems. So, it's just
Yeah.
until people are starting to get really, really hurt in their pocketbook, whether it's Harvey Weinstein or Diddy, and I mean, I feel like Epstein is kind of involved in this only because there were people from the entertainment industry that were involved in the things that he did. So it was like, crossover. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how this all continues to unfold over time.
Yeah.
Because the scandal is so big. And,
Yeah.
you know, then we move on from the entertainment industry to the grocery industry. And here we have an absolute abrupt resignation by the
Yeah.
CEO of Kroger because
Yeah.
of his personal conduct and it being, inconsistent with the policies of the company. It's really interesting that there were no details that were revealed in all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I just realized something that I kind of forgotten about. I actually worked for a company when the CEO of the parent company resigned because of misconduct and inappropriate conduct with I think it may have been like an assistant or somebody. It was somebody that worked at the company on his staff.
Ugh.
And it was really interesting. So, just reading this reminded me of that moment, like when all of a sudden you're at an organization and the leader of the organization abruptly steps down, and the reason for them stepping down is a clear violation of your company policy, right? Because, you think about the
Yeah.
leaders of an organization are the ones that really should be embodying the
Right.
policy and the culture of an organization. So
Right. Like they're the ones that set the tone for the
exactly.
organization. And what's super interesting about this case is one, they released no details, but the second they got wind of something, they launched an external investigation that resulted in his abrupt resignation. So I imagine that the closed details and nature of this are kind of like a we won't say anything if you resign. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this. But what's interesting is that this the former CEO now has um he was there since the 70s. He
Or he
started
was
as a
like
stock
50 years,
yeah, and he worked
1968.
his stock
Yeah,
clerk and he worked his way up. And so I think that this kind of just goes to show something that we're actually seeing a lot in our business is rescreening is happening a lot now because especially at major checkpoints in somebody's career or just continued to keep a pulse on both the organization and that includes the organization that includes the leadership here is it's so important because part of me is wondering if this is related to the Albertsons deal that fell through, the merger and acquisition from Albertsons that the courts blocked, and then what kind of went away, or some kind of pressure from that, or like I don't even know. I'm just speculating because that was somewhat recent that huge deal fell through. But
well, I
after
think,
he
oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was gonna say, but what's interesting is that um when CBS reported on this, they actually said that Kroger shares were down 1%
That's what
after
I
the
was just gonna
resignation.
say.
Right. Yeah.
When we talk about when you have misconduct, especially at the high levels, the
Yeah.
cost of misconduct, and on the low end, on an annual basis, misconduct costs companies and organizations billions and billions of dollars. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
amazing that this gets announced and then automatically shave 1% off the stock price. Everybody loses,
And
employees,
we don't even know what he did.
stockholders.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't even matter what he did. The stock price still dropped.
Yep. And this is where I think your point is spot on in terms of, rescreening and making sure that you're thinking about what's going on in your organization, not just
Yeah.
when you hire somebody, you know,
Right.
and the Amelia Perez, right? I said that right. The movie, that's a good
Yeah.
example of that too.
Yeah.
Like things could happen in the past, but then also things could be happening, you know, in real time. And you
Right.
need to be able to keep up with what people are doing. I was just pulling together some stats the other day, and I was amazed when I found these stats. I was looking at um, sort of like updated 2024, 2025 social media stats. And every minute, 6,000 videos are created on YouTube. 6,000
What?
every minute, every minute. And the last
Ooh.
stat that we had on this was in 2018, right? So now this is a different stat that I'm going to tell you. So 2018. So now we're talking about what? 2018, 7 years ago, right? 8 years ago. Um, every minute there were 510,000 posts and comments created on Facebook.
Ooh. Wow.
And the reason I'm talking about this kind of volume is because this is the amount of
Yeah.
content that is being created right now. We're not talking about hours, we're not talking about days, we're not even talking about
Right.
months or years right now. We are down to the minute.
Yeah.
And with the amount of content that's being created, and also, by the way, consumed, the consumption numbers
Yeah.
are insane. I think it's somewhere
Right.
like on average, people spend 2.5 hours consuming content on social media.
I think
And
it's more than that. I think it was like 2.5 hours, like on a specific platform, but then it's like there's other platforms
so
too.
that's interesting. That's different than the
Yeah.
data that I saw. The other
Oh,
thing that
okay.
was super interesting is the usage. We're up to, so there's about, I don't, what is the world population? Ben and I were just talking about this the other day. I think it's like 6 or 8 billion people. You know, we were giving each other a hard time because I had the stats from the 50s and he knew right away. He's like, yeah, no, I think so we were, of course, we had to look it up, you know? And so I think it's 8 billion. And right now, active users on a social media platform, so this is like across all social media platforms, is over 5 billion people.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is the scale of the content, the scale of
Yeah.
the users, is just mind blowing. And to be
Yeah.
able to really understand what's going on and making sure that you're keeping all of this as part of your hiring decisions, or, keeping the pulse of it in terms of
Right.
your employees, it all matters. It all matters, and the scale is
Yeah.
astronomical. And, if you're listening to this and you're a hiring manager, you're working in HR, look at the stats, understand the
Yeah.
scale, because it's
Right.
only getting bigger. It's not going
Oh
to get
yeah.
smaller.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's fascinating to me. Anyway, so I'm kind of digressing a little bit here on scale, but let's go into our next thing, because now we've got healthcare industry, mental
Yeah.
health. We have somebody who was seeing a mental health provider for trauma related to a whole bunch of different things in their life. And long story short, they were a sex worker. Now the therapist encouraged them to go back to sex work because they were having financial problems, and then responded to the person's ad.
Ugh.
So, yeah, so tell me more about this, because this is like all over the place for me in terms of inappropriateness and
Yeah.
just, again, going back to like the wild, salacious
Ugh.
things that people do. Like you don't even have to make stuff up, because what's out there
No.
is
Yeah.
crazier than fiction.
Yeah. Like it feels like the onion is just the news now. It's just absolutely wild.
Uh, that's funny, Nicole.
And I'm like allergic to onions. I can't even eat them. And so like the fact that like I'm just like, oh, get away from me, all this like crazy, like, oh,
Yeah, you're allergic to onions. I don't like onions, but we'll read the onion.
well, what I don't even think we need to anymore. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's just out
Yeah,
there
we
when
do
we
our
read
misconduct in the news every 2 weeks. It's like reading.
right, right, a
Um,
hundred percent. Yeah, no, but this one, I was reading this, my mouth, I was just completely just like, oh, um, I can't even imagine working with a mental health therapist for trauma like this, being encouraged to go back to that trauma source when in financial struggles, which is already a very deep type of struggle. And then being encouraged to go back and then being solicited by the person that encouraged me to go back, that's supposed to be like a confidant, like a trusted source, somebody that's supposed to like offer like reasonable guidance and get you on a better path, and then they're like guiding you down a path to get something from you. Like that is just like absolutely such a conflict of interest and so horrific. And just on so many levels. And then she also in her complaint, so she complained to the employer and then the governing body, and she also said that her sessions were only like 15 minutes long and she thought that was like normal, and then found out that the guy was being paid, this is like a service, so like the guy was being paid for 60-minute sessions and was only giving her 15 minutes of the session. And so there were like multiple elements of this that were just clear violations of like conflict of interest, like stealing from her, stuff like that. And then also on top of the sexual misconduct, that whew, this is just absolutely horrific. And
Yeah.
she's actually going on, she went to the newspaper, this is in New Zealand, because misconduct is global, unfortunately. So this was out of New Zealand, and so she went to the New Zealand Herald and um was called them out, and the employer out and the governing body out, and they were like, how are these people not doing due diligence? How are these people not vetting people in these critical positions? And she's right, like, why did they not? Apparently this man had a history of like violence or sexual violence in the past. Like, how did this not come up? How did they not catch this?
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
Ugh.
it's just, you know, we're never going to run out of content for this. We're never going to run out of stories. Like we're unfortunately, we're not. And I
I look
think,
forward to the day that we do, even though I think you're right.
yeah, and I think the key here is, it's always just it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so if you're
Yeah.
still in the camp of, oh, this is never going to happen in my organization, this is never going to happen in my company,
Right.
get ready because it will. There will be
Yeah.
something will be missed, or somebody will make a poor choice,
Right.
and you know, you'll be on our next episode. I, you know, so protect yourself out there.
Yeah.
Stay on top of all of these things that are happening. Make sure that your policies are up to date.
Yeah.
One of the key things is that as behavior changes, as laws change, as compliance,
Right.
make sure that you are dusting off your company policy and you're reviewing it. I mean, number one, if something happens that is related to your business, you should be picking it
Right.
up and taking a look at it right away, saying to yourself, hey, if this happened here, what would our policy speak to in this particular circumstance? Um,
Right.
Regardless of that, every year taking a look at it because just some of the new compliance laws that have come out. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, or maybe even last year. There is now case law that if an employee comes to you and complains
Right.
about coworkers harassing them on a social media platform or online,
Right.
and it has nothing to do with it using their work computer, being during work hours, nothing. It's just the fact that the relationship is a
Right.
co-working relationship and they told you about it. Guess what? You are now liable for what's going on online
Yeah.
on that platform between those coworkers. And if you
Right.
don't do anything about it and you don't address it, you could find yourself in $1 million lawsuit the way that was it the state of Texas? Which state was it that the first case came out
It was
of?
the Department of Justice.
Oh, it was the Department of Justice. I'm
Right. It was,
conflating that
yeah.
with another issue in Texas
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
another lawsuit that happened. But no, this
Yeah.
was with the Department of Justice. And so the Department of Justice was found liable, and the woman who was being maligned online by coworkers was awarded $1 million. And so this is real. The laws are changing every day. People's exposure to what's going on out there is increasing. So, keep reading misconduct in the news, stay up to date on all the compliance things, and we will do our best to let you know when things change too. So, I'm Amy Warren.
And I'm Micole Garatti, and we talk about workplace misconduct so you can avoid it.
That's right. And thank you for participating, listening to us in this episode of 9 to 5 Nightmares. See you next time, everybody.
Bye.